Hi, I'm Amanda, and you're watching The Reading and Writing Life. Today's video is all about the books that I've read recently. I filmed the clips as I finish reading the books so that I don't forget what I want to say. So here they are. Get ready for some weird hair, some tired eyes, and some really good books. Okay, first of all, there's two things I want to say. Number one, I need to stop filming these right after I'm done walking because I wear the same like 3 shirts every time I go do my exercise in the morning, and so I feel like all of these videos have the same 3 shirts on. The second thing is I decided to start filming down here next to my little bookshelf, even though I don't read these books. I don't mean that I don't read these books. I mean that these are mostly school books, books that we use for our homeschool, and they're not really my books, like that I choose to read. If you've been here before, you know that I mostly read on Kindle and audio. My dog doesn't know what to do because I'm filming on the floor for the first time. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you sitting here? Okay. This is Django, by the way. It's Django, like one of the bounty hunters in Star Wars. My kids and my husband are obsessed with Star Wars, and so all of our animals are named after Star Wars people. And right now we only have one animal, and that is little Django, who is 10 years old and doesn't understand why I'm sitting on the floor. Anyway, I need to talk about 3 books. I had a pretty productive weekend. It's Monday morning, and by productive, I mean I read a lot. That's what I mean by productive. So I'm gonna quickly talk about three books that might push me over my 15-minute limit, but that's okay. Just bear with me through these 3. The first one is called A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. At least I think that's how you say her name. This I read on my Kindle, and generally Kindle books take me longer to read just because the nature of it. Like, you have to be at least in one spot, or you have to be walking around holding your Kindle in order to be able to read, or your phone or whatever. So I feel like I read Kindle books more in like little snippets here and there than I do in all the time. Like, I can kind of read audiobooks all the time. Anyway, that doesn't matter. This is a Veronica Speedwell series mystery. If you like these cozy mysteries, this is fantastic. It has such a cool twist on the normal lady mystery thing. It is in England again, which if you've seen my other ones, you realize might be a theme, which I didn't realize that I read so many of them, but I think that I read one and then I was suggested another one based on the fact that I read one, you know, and then it just kind of happened. And I'm going with it because I like them. This Veronica starts out at the beginning. She's been raised by 2 aunts who she doesn't really know are even her aunts. She was a foundling, they said. So she was found as a baby, and she doesn't know anything about her parents, and we meet her at the very beginning at the death of the second of the aunts. So now they've both died. She's by herself, and she loves it that way. She is okay, I was gonna try to say it, Lepidopterus. That sounds like a dinosaur. She is a butterfly scientist. That's not a thing either, because it's called whatever that other word is, which I will put up here. But she hunts butterflies, and she's really good at it. She's gone on all these expeditions. Her aunts let her go, and she makes money by bringing back specimens for people. This is in the late 1800s, early 1900s, I think, when this is set. And anyway, she comes, it doesn't matter. We meet her at the beginning, and her second aunt has died, and she's preparing to like sell the house. She's already told the people in the little town that they live in, which they haven't lived there for very long, but she told them she's leaving and she's selling the house. So she goes back to the house one last time to just grab the rest of her stuff after the funeral, and then she's leaving. Well, there's somebody in the house. And instead of running away, she tries to attack him with like her umbrella stick or something. I don't know. She tries to attack him with something. And so he tries to grab her like he's going to kidnap her. Well, there's another man that comes to her rescue. He tells her that he actually knows who her mother is. She goes and gets in the car with him and rides back to London with him. And he leaves her in the safekeeping of this guy who is also a scientist, but he is more, and he does the same kind of things where he goes and tracks specimens down in the Amazon or whatever. And anyway, so together there is a mystery that happens, and then together the two of them kind of start solving this murder, and lots of stuff happens. Like, I feel like there was a lot more action in this than there is in a lot of other books, or just a lot of like, not action as in like fighting scenes, although there were some fight scenes, but more like just constant movement, a lot more of that and a lot less like just talking. So it was really good. I gave it 4 stars, but I'm definitely reading the next one. There's like 6 in this series, I think, so for sure. Okay, the next book is another cozy mystery. It's called A Spell for Trouble, and it's by Esme Addison. I'm not sure how you say her first name. Esme, I think. I don't know if this is her first book, but it's the first book in this series, and the second book isn't out yet. You can pre-order it, but it's not out yet. This one is set in the United States in North Carolina. I know, I'm in the United States now, not London anymore. And it's really good. She is, okay, we meet her again when she's all alone. Her dad has just passed away. Her mom died when she was like 10 or 11. And so her mom's family lives here in North Carolina. And she used to stay with them all the time. When her mom was alive, they would go visit them all the time. But once her mom died, her dad was like, we're done. We're not going back there. And so she hasn't, I just realized that there are people mowing right outside my house and it's loud. Okay, hopefully the guy doing the mowing the yard is gone for a while. Okay, anyway, I forgot what I was saying whenever I realized he was loud. But, so she hasn't been there in years. Now it's been like 10 years since her mom died, maybe more than that, maybe like 12 years or something. And she has gone back to this place, and now that her dad has died, she's gone back. She doesn't really know what she wants to do. So she goes there, she sees her aunt and her 2 cousins, and she remembers a few other people that she used to hang out with whenever she was there as a kid. And there is a murder. And her aunt is accused of the murder and is arrested. And so she feels like she needs to clear her aunt's name. So in doing so, she learns a lot about who she is and the history of their family. There is, this is not just a mystery. I would say that it's also a little bit supernatural. So if you like supernaturals and you want to try a mystery, maybe this is a good one to start with. It's really good. I mean, as you can see, the cover is super cute. So this is definitely one that I would recommend for anybody who wants to get started in the cozy mysteries, or if this is just one that you haven't checked out yet. Okay, and then the last one that I finished for this weekend, or I finished this weekend, is called The Lincoln Obsession by James Swanson. So he wrote Manhunt, which is about the 12 days after Lincoln's assassination. So manhunt, like it sounds, they were on a manhunt for all the conspirators that were part of that group. And then he also wrote he's written multiple ones, but specifically about Lincoln, he wrote a middle grade, I guess it would be middle grade, maybe young adult book called Chasing Lincoln's Killer. And it's the same story as Manhunt, only told for like a younger audience. And we actually own that book. I bought it for one of my kids. I haven't read it yet, but I bought it for one of my kids. But anyway, this book, The Lincoln Obsession, is him telling the story. And it's, you can see, it's an Audible original. It was my pick from the Plus catalog. There were 21 books, and when I asked her to pick a number, she picked number 2, and this was number 2. So it's less than 4 hours, and it's read by him, like I said. And so he's just telling like his connection to Lincoln. He was born on his birthday, by the way. Why and he was born in Illinois, which I know Lincoln was not born in Illinois, but if you've seen the license plates that say Land of Lincoln, then you know why Illinois is important. That's where he was born, on Lincoln's birthday. So anyway, there's just all these cute little stories in there that he tells about his connection to Lincoln and how he's really been obsessed with him, kind of. That's why the title, from a very early age. And so he kind of just walks you through what he does and why he decided to do it. If you've read Manhunt, or if you're a fan of him, I would definitely say read this book. I mean, especially if you have Audible Plus. I mean, it's part of the Plus catalog, so it doesn't cost you anything to read it. However, my favorite part of the whole thing, also part of what he wanted to do was he wanted to tell some stories that he didn't get to tell in the book, just like a few little extra little things, and also still present questions that are unanswered right now. There's a lot of like artifacts and things like that should be around and they aren't. And then there's a lot of other things, weird things, like one of the conspirators was buried in a cemetery, and then the bodies were dug up because they were going to move them somewhere else, and nobody ever knows where they moved them to. But then years later, one of their skulls turned up in the Smithsonian. So I don't know, that's weird to me. But anyway, the thing that I liked the most, it really touched me. First of all, we read a book about Abraham Lincoln probably 4 years ago as part of our homeschool stuff. And I cried, and my kids laughed at me so much for crying. First of all, they laugh at me every time a book makes me cry. And almost every book that we read, at least at the end of it, I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. It's either sweet or it's sad or whatever, and I always want to cry. And they're like, are you about to cry? So anyway, they know that I love Abraham Lincoln. Like, I could not finish that book. I kept saying, I love him. So anyway, that's why I thought it was funny when that popped up as the book for me to read. And I was like, okay, some more Abraham Lincoln. But I just love how he seemed to be so sincere. Like, he seemed to just be nice. And I mean, I know that he wasn't all the time, and I know I'm saying he seemed to be because nobody really knows, especially nobody who's alive right now, really knows how he was. But I think that he was just sweet. Anyway, something that he pointed out, he had a son who died while they were in the White House. If you don't know about that, it's really sad, and it really kind of destroyed him, and it destroyed his wife, and she went down a really weird path of like trying to do seances and trying to contact him. She just could not handle him being dead. And so and it kind of put a rift between Mary and Abe. Because he didn't understand what she was doing, and she just couldn't let go of Willie. That was the boy's name who died. So Willie was buried in Washington, D.C., and he could walk there from the White House to Willie's grave, which, according to people who know, he did that a lot. Now, what I find to be fascinating by this was if you walk the route from the White House to Willie's grave, he would have had to walk by the grave of the son of Jefferson Davis, who had passed away as a baby and was buried there in that same cemetery. And I just wonder, like, did he say, I know what that grief feels like? And if you don't know who Jefferson Davis is, he was the president of the Confederacy. So during this time, as the Civil War is raging, the South has declared themselves independent and have elected their own president, and it was Jefferson Davis. So he's kind of the opposite of Lincoln, right? Set up as the president of these states that Lincoln is trying to say, no, you're part of our union. And so I just wonder if it made him feel like Jefferson Davis was more of a real person to him. Like sometimes it's easy to say, I don't agree with that person, so they must be horrible. Like they must be a horrible person because they don't agree with me, which is totally what we do right now with everybody. But I wonder what he thought about as he was going there to mourn his own son who had died, and he has to walk right by the grave of the Confederate president's son. And so I don't know, it's those little tidbits of facts to me that just seem to make everybody more real, I guess, to make it more personal than you're just reading about some guy who died a long time ago. So that was my favorite part of it because it really made me stop and think about things. And I really liked the book. What was funny to me was that it wasn't on Goodreads yet. I mean, it came out just in April of 2021, so it just came out, but I thought that everything was on Goodreads. So anyway, I got to do my very first add a book to Goodreads, and I got to go through and add all the information, which I had all of it because of course it's on Amazon. Like I thought everything was on Goodreads, but everything for sure is on Amazon. So anyway, it was a good book. It is now on Goodreads if anybody wants to go put it in your to be read pile or however you have your shelves. And that reminds me, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I would love for you to do that. That is where I post every day, every weekday. I post on there, I update everything that I'm reading every weekday. It's generally one book on audio, one book on Kindle, and then my book club book that's always going. But I will update it every weekday, and sometimes on the weekend. It just depends on if I'm near my computer or not, because I don't want to have it on my phone and have one more thing for me to go look at all the time on my phone. So that's it. If you liked any of the books that I talked about, if you've read them, or if you want to read them, let me know down below. I would love to talk about them. As always, I would like to do a buddy read. If anybody's interested, let me know and we will set something up. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss anything that's coming up. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.